I'm just going over my new valves here, see what the differences were. The stems on these new valves were slightly bigger. So what we ended up with is on our old valve to guide clearance on the heads using the old valves, we were at 2 thousandths on the intakes and 2.5 on the exhaust. With the new valves, the stems are very slightly bigger, which is good because it tightened their clearances up on the valve guide clearance on the intakes. It tightened it to just over 1 thousandths. It's like 12 10 thousandths, which is good. On the exhaust, we ended up with slightly over 2 thousandths to like 21 10 thousandths, 22 10 thousandths, right in that range. So that's good. So we tightened our valve guide clearances up pretty good on those. That's closer to, they were still within spec with the old valves, but they were right on the edge of being too much clearance. What I did notice, because I weighed the valves, is the exhaust valves were slightly, well, let me see here, I can't remember. One of the valves was slightly heavier, and the other ones were slightly lighter. So we'll check out this intake here. We are at that's not right. Let me zero this thing. Okay, I had to zero it out there. So on the exhaust valve, the new exhaust valve is 74 grams, and the old exhaust valve was 76 grams. So the exhaust valves are slightly lighter, very slightly. The intake valve is 79 grams for the new one, and the old one is 76 grams. So slightly heavier on the intake valves, which there ain't nothing you can do about it. That's fine. So it's a better valve, really. These old valves here, what they do is they're kinetic welded. The heads are forgings are made separately, and then the stems are made separately, and then they kinetic weld to get them, which is basically they twist them together and under a lot of pressure. So it actually friction welds it. You're taking two pieces and turning them together under a lot of pressure, and it welds them together. These valves here are one-piece forgings, so a lot stronger than the other ones. The other thing I noticed was our spring pressures went from basically less than 30 pounds on each spring, 28, 30 pounds in that range, and we got them up to 100 basically, preliminary. So that's, haven't machined the heads yet, haven't done a valve job yet, so we'll set them as close as that as we can. And they are going to lose pressure once they break in slightly. They'll lose maybe 5 or 10 pounds over a period of time. Still better than 28 pounds of pressure on the seat. So what I did notice was because these new springs are a double spring, the top collar is machined slightly different because it has to be, because you've got a ridge right here to hold the inner spring and then the outer spring. So with this new collar is 19 grams, which these are drilled. I didn't get the titanium ones, which I thought I was getting. These were the drilled steel top collars. So we were at 19, and The old top collar, the 17, so two grams heavier on the top collar, but we're more than making up of that on pressure. Would have been nice. The titanium ones probably would have been quite a bit different, which they showed a picture of titanium, but I guess I didn't read the full ad there. You know, so I got these, and these will work. These are just the steel ones, but they're drilled around the outer rim there, you can see. And glad we tightened up our valve guide clearances. Getting ready to sandblast the heads and the cylinders for paint, because they were pretty nasty, and the rocker boxes too, to get the paint to stick a little bit better. And then once I get those blasted, I'll start on the porting. Now, what I'm going to have to do on these intake ports, I can't do it on the exhaust, because I'm actually putting epoxy in here, because the floor of this port is so bad. It's like 2 right angles in here, or not right angles, but 2 angles. One here and then one down here. So it's basically flat across the bottom of the port, which you don't want. It needs to have a radius in there, and this thing just ain't got no radius at all. So that should be in here today. And we'll be doing that. I doubt I'll be doing it this week, because I got so much other crap to do between cleaning up and painting and getting ready to pull the timing cover off of this thing to check the cam chain out and the tensor and all that. And we'll get around to that. But did pull the oil pan gasket, oil pan off there, and it had some sludge down in the bottom, a little bit anyway. Pulled the screen off the pickup, cleaned it, and still have to coat the pistons. I did get both coatings in, and I'm actually waiting on the 120 grit aluminum oxide media blaster, so I can blast the pistons and lifters and all that stuff to put the coating on. And the rocker arms too. Got all my rocker arm bearings are in here. So it's just a matter of time doing it and waiting on some new stones for my valve seat grinder, because these are really hard seats on these years of heads. So I had to get the right grinder material for them, which are the pink stones for these versus the gray, which tend, if I could use the gray ones on there, but it doesn't do as good of a job. You end up wearing through stones really quick, and it kind of doesn't leave a great finish. So get the right stones for it, which should be here soon, hopefully, so we can start putting this thing back together after we do coat all the engine stuff we're going to coat with micro slick and the ceramics, and on from there. Fairly decent anyway, but really that's about it for right now. Still gotta take some stuff off of this thing and paint it, as far as need to treat up the battery box, and still got to do the reseal the differential back there where it's leaking on the rear brake shoes. The seal is, check the bearings out and all that, and see what I'm going to do with that subframe back there. I think I might leave it for right now and just clean it up and paint it, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope you guys have a great week and a great weekend coming up, and everybody take care. It's getting cooler out. It's riding season now. Here anyway it is. So I'm not riding. Still got a lot to do, but it's the way it goes. Guys, take care. Thanks.